Good morning, Eswatini. Welcome to Kusile Breakfast Show. Thanks so much for joining us today. It is 6 o'clock on the dot. Sevele challenge simesithupha namhla ekuseni lokusho kona ukuqala kwehlelo Kusile Breakfast Show. Siyakubukela lapho usibukela khona kungaba secingweni lakho noma ke khona ka YouTube. Yeah, ngilelanga lelwesili solo silimele kusela ukuqala yona inyanga yendlovana the 14th of February. Valentine's Day. Sifisa, good morning.
Bengisolo nilimele lelanga vele solo ngiyakubona ushaya countdown. Mina nje ngiyanibukela ngithi hawu ngifisela usuku loluhle namuhla
lisuku
Tanzania.
Yeah, sitting just fake nje red and white just nathi sibe part of the commemoration of Valentine's Day as bamlabaningi isifisa are commemorating this day today. It's not just only us, especially bantu labathanzanako njengoba sishito ke anyway sasho last week ukuthi it's not for couples only, but you can show your love to your sibling or your parent or your friend, even a relative. So it's all about showing love, spreading love today.
Kodwa thina nje majaha emntumbatumbana asiyadi lento le. Asiyadi lento le.
Ndazaniyadinga ngani isifisa.
Niseka ama paperback senihamba seniyakhukhutela nithi hey look what I have got for you here.
Yeah. Namhlanje sithola ama chocolates, ama roses. Yeah, kutabe busy kakhulu.
Yeah, I'm actually excited nami ukuthi nje nakuphela lihlelo ngiyethemba ukuthi ekhaya abatabe sebavukile. Some of my loved ones le ndawo khona kubashayela ngibatshela ukuthi happy Valentine's. Unfortunately that's the best I can do at this moment. Ngoba bale eshiselweni le but sithemba ukuthi ngempela sonto ndawo khona kuba nabo. Sikhona ukuthi sibe kanye kanye sijabule. It's almost like it gives off the same feeling about Christmas in the sense ukuthi just extend love, especially to the people labatutane now, and show them that you appreciate them and you love them. And so for that reason, now I'm excited for this day. Yeah.
All right, and the show namuhla sitabe sibuketo na tindzaba nje double financial inclusion sitabe sikhulumisana nalabasuka khona aga Center for Financial Inclusion sikhuluma kabanti ngemsebenzi iFinclude akumele ukuthi umsebenzi iFinclude lesingathi financial inclusion and cluster development umsebenzi lohloso ukuthuthukisa impilo tebantfu ikakhulukazi bantfu labasemakhaya ngokuthi bakhona ukusekelwa ngetimali tekusungula emabhizinisi lahlukahlukene imimangweni yabo umsebenzi ke lona lophinzo uvulele bosomabhizinisi emathuba etimarket aphindze bakhona ukuthi bakhona ukuthengisa leyo mikhicido yabo leyo Finclude ke i project leyaqala ngeminyaka wa 2018 kanti kubeye ukuthi uphele ngeminyaka wa 2025 wasekelwa ngetimali leti ngabikiswa ku 38.56 million wemadola asemelika kulohlelo kwenamhla ekuseni sitabe sikhulumisana na project manager Phumzile Mthethwa losuka khona ka CFI kusiniketa nje sithomese ukuthi lo msebenzi sowuhambe kanganani ukuthi ngabe sebangakuvele bantfu lasebazuzile kiwo lo msebenzi sabe sixoxisana naye lo mhla ekuseni nga7:30.
Kanzike nga 6:30 sijoinwa nguye ke Bhekani Dlamini who comes from the Coordinating Assembly of Non-Governmental Organizations leyatiwa ke ngeKhango. He is the Communications and Marketing Officer there. Utaba sichazela kabanti ke nge series of conversations labayiqalile lengephansi kwe SADC lebitwa nge SADC Regional Integration Series. It began on the 9th of February and it is still running until mhla ka 16 kuyo lenyanga lesetulo. Through this series discussions about how best Southern African states can be economically knitted together so that it can foster socio-economic development and prosperity. Pinzeke Bhekani Dlamini tabasichazela nje kabanti ngayo leyo development about the movement of the people, trade integration, macroeconomic integration, infrastructure integration, and productive integration. All of these integration subtopics langephasi kwayo regional integration sisafostarisha yona ke intra-African trade langephansi kwayo iSADC sithemba ukuthi tasijoyina nje nga 6:30 asichazele kabanti ngayo le project.
All right, it's 4 minutes after 6. Let's take a break. Nasibuya sithatha indaba tethu lo mhla ekuseni.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Asimze sivusele siyokwamukele nawo losanza kuzivulela sobukade indzaba tetfu namhla ekseni. Ngekuthunywa ngemakhosi umcondzisi wetinkhulumo eParliamente Petros Mavimbela somemetele kuvulwa kwesigaba sesihlanu seParliamente yelishumi nakunye lokungalesihlanu kuleliviki mhla til-17. Mavimbela bekakhuluma emhlanganweni nebetindzaba emahhovisini eParliamente ngeMsombuluko.
Lonyaka lo msebenzi utawube ubanjwe mhla ka-17 kuFebruary 2023 lapho ingonyama inkosi Mswati wesithathu itawube isibusisela kuvula kwayo iParliament. Sengaba ngicela ukuthi kulabo lesitabe sibamemile ukuthi bete eParliament ukuthi abawaphathe phela emakhadi lesitabe sibanikete wona kude kulo msebenzi lomgcoka nakangaka. Nekusho lo ukuthi betempilo bataye bakhona etindzaweni esitabe sitilungisile eParliament uma utiva ukuthi soyabonyabonyeka utawuvele ushone ngakhona. Nekuthi ke ngenxa yesimo selitulu kulabo labangeke bakhona ukufika eParliament iParliament ilungisile ukuthi kuyoba khona indlela zokuxhumana ukuthi labo basemakhaya bakhona ukuthi bawulandzele lo msebenzi lomgcoka nakangaka. Amaswati ayatiwa ukuthi abantu labatiphatha kanjani batiwa nje mhlaba wonkana ukuthi sibe semaswati sitiphatha kahle. Sibhekile ukuthi ke nakulo msebenzi lona sisayivula iParliament onke amaswati atabe etile akatiphathe kahle atinikete isigaba lesifanele. Bhekile ukuthi emalunga eParliament ngensimbi yelishumi abe asahleli onke phasi kumele ukuthi kufike wona emakhosi. Wena waphakathi.
Mvanankulu Cleopas Dlamini uthi uhulumende utayilungisa masinyane imigwaco leyonakele ngenxa yetimvula. Mvanankulu bekabuka umgwaco lohlanganisa eTshaneni nasemaphiveni lojubeke ekhathi.
Mvanankulu Cleopas Dlamini uvakashele lisifundza saselibonjeni kuyobuka simo semgwaco lolinyetwe ngitoko timvula lichubeka kuna eveni. Mvanankulu uvakashele umgwaco waseTshaneni nasemaphiveni kuyobuka umgwaco lodzabuka emkhatsini ngenxa yatoko timvula. Lo mgwaco ke wonakele kangangobe ngilongesheya takhamuti taleyandzawo setigcine tiphocelelekile ukuthi titakhele nje indledlana leseceleni kuti tikhone kuhamba kuyothola letinto etimcoka letifaka ikhatsi egrosa nalokunye. Ubukile ke lo mgwaco wabona ukuthi vele uyingoti kanti uthi Mvanankulu asawubuka kwabe uchubeka nekubhidlika. Mvanankulu ke uchubekele emgwaqweni lohlanganisa indzawo yaka lo mahasha nawusuka khona ke nje kancane la bekacale khona nakhona umgwaco lena ubuka ngeliso lenyama usahambeka futhi usesekahle kodwa ke kutazi kungomi emathe phansi nawo utawube ubhidlikile. Usiteke Mvanankulu loko usakulungisa uhulumende kanti ke ube sewuchubekela endzaweni yaselubhuku ngasempaka khona ke sifundzeni saselibonjeni nakhona lapho emanti ahamba ngetulu kwelibhuloho lesive sesinebulukhuni kwemisebentini nasemakhaya aso. Mvanankulu ke uyaqinisekisa ukuthi uhulumende usetikwayo ke indzaba.
Tikhuluma njengoba sikhuluma nje setiyangena vele lapha esayithini banemathenda abo khona lapha but awuvele bawende in-house lokusho ukuthi awendiwa ngelo vele litiko sivumelene ukuthi abawende ngekusheshisa lokukhulu nangabe kukhona laba bafuna ukuthi uhulumende ababambise khona ngiyabekisa nje ukuthi bafuna ukuthenga kumbe kumvumunyo lo yisupplier kungabe vele soloku kumela le imininingwane le khona kahulumende kuthathwe nje vele njengendlela eshakeke kakhulu.
Ndvunankulu-ke ucela sive seMaswati ukuthi sibeketele Ndvunankulu asahlanganisa imali nalokunye lokudzingekile kufaka ekhatsi emaphayiphi latawenta ukuthi umgwaqo lotawakhiwa usale uba ngolowo locinile kude ukuthi lokhu kungaphinzeki. Etindzabeni tanamuhla ngengiyani Msibi Nasimuva Shongwe eLubonjeni.
Inkampani yetebuchwepheshe iSlomos Corporation seyindlulisele ngalokusemthethweni ebandleni lelibukela ukhetfo kanye nemingcele yetinkundla yesoftware lebita ngetulu kwa 18 million emalangeni lebeyisebenta elikhetfweni lwesive longa 2018 letawuphindze futhi isebente nasekhetfweni lwesive lalomnyaka lwesetulu. Umphathi welibandla lelikhetfo nemingcele yetinkundla Mfana Nkosi Mhlabuhlangene uthi le software itinhlaka letine lokufaka ekhatsi kubhalisela lona likhetfo.
Letinye tinhlaka letentiwa ngile software kwengamela libhaliso lolwentiwe data management lolunye kubuka libhaliso lolwentiwe njalo continuous data management kanye nekubuka likhetfo lonke. Sihlalo welibandla lelikhetfo kanye nemingcele yetinkundla Mfana Nkosi Mhlabuhlangene uthi le software itawuqinisekisa ukuthi likhetfo lichubeka kahle.
Sifuna lokwati ukuthi njengoba nyalo sitokungena sisende emalungiselelo abo songqondo kuphelelisa songqondo wethu kulungiselela lelikhetfo lelitawo kambe mbamba nguphi lelesinako kanjalo phindze futhi bekungasimfihlo ukuthi lokuphathelane nale software bekungaka deliver kithi but loko akuyitsikabeti kusebenta kwale system kukhulumisa nje emalungelo ethuthine singu EBC nalo supplier wethu vendor wethu wale system.
Umcondzisi wenkampani leyakha le software Slomos Corporation Silomo Dlamini uthi abangatsithi ukuthi tisebente lihlangothi tebuchwepheshe ka-EBC titawukhona kusebentisa le software.
Kuna le source code lekufuna si hand over to EBC to enable EBC ukuthi nangabafuna ukuthi editela ende lokunye because lokuba custom software malangeni lokuthi ungakhona kutendela noma ngabe yini ngale software. Ikona ke expect ka EBC siyibonile nangu IT laceleni sisebentile naye babe kunene staff esiphole emncongweni babe kunene nangabe sekukhona ongasakubona ngelanga.
Akulokunye sihlalo welibandla uthi tonke tindzaba kanye nemibuto ngelikhetfo kubocondziswa kuleli bandla hayi uhulumende njengaloku leli bandla kungilelo lelitimele etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla Nginavuma Inkosi Nzinisa Sisenganini.
Umphathi wenkampani yetindiza iRail Eswatini National Airways Corporation Qiniso Dlamini uthi njengoba tindiza talenkampani letatiwa nge-Eswatini Air titawucala kusebenta enyangeni letako. Lenkampani itawuqinisekisa ukuthi sive siphatheka kahle nemathikithi ekundiza kube ngulawo lathengekako. Dlamini uthi lokucala kusebenta kwaletindiza kutawuba tigaba letisihlanu.
Axoxisana nalomsakato ngemsombuluko umphathi wenkampani yetindiza kuleli iRoyal Eswatini National Airways Corporation Renak Qiniso Dlamini uthi sebayitfolile imvume yekundizela eveni leZimbabwe basemelele live leNingizimu Afrika nayo labatayitfola masinyane. Uthi nenhlangano yekundiza i-Air Transport Association seyibaniketile ema-codes letindiza letawusebenta ngawo wethembisa ukuthi umgomo wabo kuniketa sive lusito lekundiza kungako imali yekundiza itabangileyo la ikhonako eMaswati.
Bantu nabathenga emathikithi sikwati ukuthi sihlangabetane netindleko talendiza netindleko labalaba labasebentako la endizeni bese sithi ke kancane kubeka lenye imali ukuthi umsebenzi uchubeke empili noma tindo sethi yakhuphuka. Akusiko nje ukuthi abantu vele sitabahlala ngabhongwana ukuthi bakhokhe imali yabo. So kwethu ukuthi wonke umuntu lone sidingo sekundiza akhone kundiza. Asikathi thina sitawufocusa noma sitawubuka kakhulu bantu labanemali ukuthi kundize bona. Cha. Sithi thina umuntu lonesidzingo sekundiza akakhone ukundiza sitawuzama ke ukuthi vele imali abayithenga ngayo lamathikithi ibe phansi sawusebenza ke kakhulu bantu njengalokuthi siyabatraina nje sibatraina kona ukuthi banake indzaba yokulahleka kwethikhwama tebantu nekuthi umuntu nakhwelile la endizeni ativele asekho bantu bayasaba kundiza so fanele usinafika la endizeni ayevele ukuthi uphatheke kahle usetandleni letifuthumele.
Letindiza letimbili kubheke ukuthi ticale kusebenta mhla tinge-26 enyangeni letako kanzi masinyane batawumemetela imali yekugibela tona letindiza letimbili. Etindzabeni ye-Eswatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini kuMathapha.
Umbutho wetekuvikela kuleli umbutho weSwatini Defence Force uthi akusilo nani liqiniso ukuthi amalunga alombutho anesandla ekubulaweni kwamalunga emacembu etinhlangano tepolitiki kuleli. Lombutho uthi imibiko lefana nalena ihlose kona sitfundisayo lesihle eMaswatini lathobela umthetho. Lombutho uchubeka uthi utawenda konke lokusemandleni kuvikela sitfundisawo. Lombutho uyayiphika nengcoco yemaphimbo lethebliwe yasabalaliswa etinkundleni tekuchumana lapho khona kuvela kungathi bekungumhlangano lobekade ahlela kubulawa kwemalunga etinhlangano tepolitiki. Lombutho uthi lena imetamo yekwenda kungabonakali ukuthi lamalunga etepolitiki abulalana odwa. Kulombiko webetindzaba lombutho uthi bonke labo labatama kucugcutela ludlame ngalolu hlobo batawutfolakala babhekane nemthetho. Uthi yonke imisebenti lendiwa ngolombutho usemgomeni wemthetho sisekelo wakuleli. Lombutho bese ukuthatha eMaswati ukuthi akagadze emathabela ngoti letama kuphatamisa kuthula kuleli. Lombutho lolwe ngako konke kude kube khona. Lisekela lemcondzisi wemoya iBIS vele simelane lithi kutawuthi madvude umsakato wemoya utfolakala etinkundleni tekuchumana kude uhambisane nelushintsho lwesikhathi. Umsakato wemoya ugubhela usuku lomsakato wemoya iWorld Radio Day eMpaka.
Imisakato yemoya yakuleli lekwi-EBIS Uniswa FM ne-VOC igubhela usuku lwe-World Radio Day eMpaka kulela lubonjeni ngekubuka inzima nedlalwa ngomsakato esiveni nekukunika lwati nekufundzisa. Le msakato kube ifundzisa sive sasempaka ngemsebenti nekubaluleka kwemsakato. Lisekela lemcondzisi wemsakato wemoya i-Eswatini Broadcasting and Information Services velisimelane lithi umsakato utawuthuthuka masinyane nje ungasaleli emuva kutebuchwephesha donake lesetithuthukile.
Itolo besisakata ngalenye indlela nyalo sesithuthukile. Sekunana indlela lesisipheceleti digital indlela ke indlela yesimanje manje yokusakata. So nathi ke ngekuthi tinto tiyashintsha kumele ukuthi singasaleli emuva singumsakato. Uma ngabe uyawukhumbula kahle umphathi wakhuluma nje indzaba ukuthi kungesi isikhathi lesise kangakanani sitabe sosithola etinkundleni tekuchumana. Uyabona lokuthi asifuni kusalela ngephandle kuze ngokuthi umuntu nangabe kunelihlelo labe kalifuna lathi simngena ngabani noma ngabe bekangekho uthi asinakabuyele endlini yentsambama afike avule lapha enkundleni tekuchumana alithole lolo hlelo lakhe.
Nenhlangano yaka-UNESCO ke iyatimbandzakanya ke nalolu suku njengoba nabo baka-UNESCO bebakhona. Sicubulo sithi umsakato nokuthula lekhulumisa inzima lengadlalwa ngomsakato ekuletheni ukuthula lakude kuthula khona babike lokwentekalako babike lesive ngaloko lokwentekalako kulawo mave. Etindzabeni ngimgiyani Msibingi Nasimuva Shongwe eMpaka.
Libandla leliphonga tehlakalo kuleli National Disaster Management Agency kanye namasipala wakamanzini sebasayine izivumelwano sekusebenzisana lesitokwenda lo masipala ukuthi alungele ukubhekana netehlakalo. Izivumelwano sayinwe umphathi welibandla leliphonga tehlakalo Russell Dlamini kanye namphathi wamasipala wakamanzini Lungile Dlamini.
Umphathi wamasipala wakamanzini Lungile Dlamini silesivumelwano sitawuba nemtsalo muhle etinhlelweni talo masipala tekulwa netehlakalo.
Some of the fruits or the expectations from the MOU will be the development of an NDMA-led Manzini disaster risk management plan, capacitation of municipal employees on issues of disaster risk management.
Umphathi welibandla lekuphungatha ihlakalo kuleli Eswatini National Disaster Management Agency Russell Dlamini usesivumelwano sitawucinisa tinhlelo talo masipala tekulwa netehlakalo.
This MOU that we will sign today will enable us to better support this city to be better prepared for disasters through mainstreaming of DRR in all your planning. Disaster risk reduction must be streamlined in all our planning. It is no longer a choice or a luxury that we have, it is a must. And if we do not do that as the country of Eswatini, we will soon suffer significant losses.
Nakulunye umphathi waka-NDMA unikele umasipala dolocina kuthi kude kudlabhatiswa kwetimali lokukhona kuleli bandla ungetenge kuthi kwentiwe ama-audits lasithupha ekubukeni ukuthi imali emkhuhlane i-COVID-19 yasebenziswa kanjani. Kanti uthi kwavela ukuthi kude imali yake yebiwa etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla ngikamanzini.
Basabambe kuba ngumphathi wenhlangano yakamhlaba yetempilo Dr. Jeffrey Bisobowa sojumise imitamo yelive kuncoba sifo sesifuba sengati ligciwane HIV kanye nekutheleleka kwemfana leligciwane umama ke adethwele. Bisobowa bekakhuluma ngesikhathi litiko letempilo inhlangano yakamhlaba yetempilo bahlangene kulungiselela kwakha luhlaka lweminyaka lemine lekuncoba letifo.
Ngeminyaka wa 2020 Hulumende welive laseSwatini ngekubanjiswa inhlangano yakamhlaba yetempilo i-World Health Organization uqale ihlelo lokuhlanganisa nekuthelelana kwetinhlelo letibuka isifo sesifuba sengati ligciwane HIV kanye nekunciphisa kutheleleka kwemfana ligciwane HIV umama kadethwele. Ngemsombuluko ke letinhlangothi tibambe umhlangano kwakha luhlaka leminyaka lemine lokuncoba letifo kungakefika umnyaka wa 2030 kanti losabambe kuba ngumphathi wenhlangano yakamhlaba yetempilo kuleli Dr. Jeffrey Bisobowa uchaze ngebumcoka balomhlangano.
We want to look behind where we've come, to see where we are, to look where we've come from. What are those big achievements we've made? What enabled us to achieve all this? Where are the gaps? How do we all together working as the team?
Umphathi wenhlangothi lelibuka isifo sesifuba sengati kuleli Themba Dlamini uthi lohlaka lumcoka kucinsekisa ukuthi live liyawashaya emagola kamhlaba lahambisana nekuncoba letifo.
Ngikubudla lomcoka kakhulu lona ngoba kuthiwa siyaticetha letifo emhlabeni.
Lo mhlangano kubheka ukuthi uphume netisombululo etindzabeni tekuncoba letifo lapha eveni kude live lithuthuke liye embili. Etindzabeni yeSwatini TV kubika samkeliswe khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini kamanzini.
Lamanye emaswati lebekathi yasebenza itimayini taseningizimu Afrika sekawelela esifundeni saKwaZulu Natal eveni lase-South Africa kuyofaka ticelo tekutfola timali tawo labatethenjiswa nguletimayini labathi itasala. Lokho kuvetwe ngumabhalane wenhlangano yalabake basebenta itimayini kuleli Eswatini Migrant Mine Workers Association of Amajele lophindze abe lilunga lenhlangano yalabake basebenta itimayini esifundeni lesisendasini Africa ye-Southern African Miners Association.
Mapalane wenhlangano yebakuleli labake basebenta itimayini taseningizimu Afrika vamajele uchaza kabanti ukuthi kungani lamaswati sala kuleli eveni laseningizimu Afrika yofaka ticelo tekuthola imali yathi yasemayini.
Emaswati ke siwabonile ngebuningi bawo lambalwa kecha endlula emshololo ayakohlolwa ayohlola ngokuthi ngabe banayo imali abanayo imali lesikuthanzile kunye kwekuthi onke lawo maswati lake lawela ngalelanga kuleli vikilela leliphelile akhona athasitwe onke kutempilo nasetimalini labakweletwa tona. Nginesiqiniseko lesiphelele ukuthi litiko letempilo lisetikwako kwekuthi lo hlelo lolwenteka ngaphandle kwelive laseSwatini lubonakale lwenteka la eSwatini kusita abantu abasebenza etimayini. Ke ngasho la ekuthenini vele kuthethe isikhathi vele kwekuthi amaswati asitakala.
Eminyaka lophelile ngenyanga endlovu lenkulu ithiko letisebenti kanye nenhlalakahle yathu letfula inkampani yakaFairlife kuthi ngiyeretho site eMaswati lasebenta etimayini aseNingizimu Afrika kutfola imali emhlala phansi jele uthi loluhlelo lolubesebenteli kahle mabhayelo omkhulu kuleli tiko amakhosini mdawo axoxisana nalomsakato ngelicingo usite noma lehlelo libonakala luhamba kancane kodwa laba ngu43 kulaba ngu900 lebakathe bahlunge inkampani emhlala phansi yaseNingizimu Afrika sebabhadela imali yabo yonke uthi kunalamanye eMaswati langu2000 nanaho labese ayavela kaFairlife acela kufaka icelo tekusitwe kufront imali etindzabeni kubika fortune dlangamandla nginavuma inkosi inzinisa sisembabane.
Kwezemidlalo kuletinye itingijimita kuleli letatfola kusekeleka ngemali enhlanganweni lengamele umdlalo wama-Olympics kanye nema-Commonwealth kuleli ibongiwe Mahlalela kulenye leyatfola lolusito. Mahlalela ngekusitwa ngiyo lenhlangano useveni laseNingizimu Afrika edolobheni lasePitoli kutfola kulolongwa ezingeni lelisetulu. Mahlalela uthi kusukela acalile kutilolonga kukhona lushintsho laluvakwe ekugijimeni kwakhe.
If ngifika kuma-high performance centers, I am able to see ama-athletes like lang inspirisha uma ngiwabona and ama-athletes lengibhilivela kuwo nami lengisho ukuthi one day I want to be like that athlete and ngiyakhona ukuthi ngifunze many things like ukuthi le-athletes ifuneka liphathe kanjani in and outside of competition. Also ngiyakhona kubona bo-diet ukuthi i-diet kumele athletes lidle kanjani, i-mental space simcoka ngani space el-athletes masiya competition even ku-training, i-attitude, i-discipline and all that. Lo nyaka ngifisile ku-improve isikhathi sami kakhulu. Looking forward to break i-national record especially in my 200 meters since I specialize in 200 meters. Also, I also want to qualify for All Africa Games and World Champions.
Kanti-ke Mahlalela yingijimi lengumake lehamba embili esigabeni se200 meters kanye na100 meters. Lungelo Simelane lobeka solo akunkhulisa ilicembu leSuperSport United eSouth Africa loqale kudlala kuRoyal Leopard ngempela Sonto naleli cembu lidlala ne7 Dreams enkundleni yemavuso kaManzini uthi kuningi lakufundzile asadlala eSouth Africa futhi lokho kutomsita ukuthi yakhona ukudlala kahle kule season njengoba ufise ukubuyela emuva kuPremier Soccer League.
Indlela ngibukile ibhola yangalena yangala kuhluke the sharpness nale moving of the ball ngicabanga kutangisita kakhulu ukuthi ngikhona kusheshe ngiadapt to ibhola ngala ngoba khona team vetihlukile team 2 team 3 nangale ngiyalo ngibuyisa ukuthi ngimele i-idea yami yangale ngaphela i-idea since bese ngina 6 years ngale ngimele amaphepha then makaphuma ngicabanga end of season ngicabanga ngidawubuyela emuva.
Satephetha indzaba tefungele tote imidlalo asibahloti market esithabe sichubeka nehlelo asenshini simo setulu.
Welcome back. Now it has been reiterated in multiple ordinary summits of heads of states and government of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, that for the countries of Southern Africa, regional cooperation and integration are preconditions for accelerated economic and social development. Now SADC member states have since committed to forge regional integration and promote economic development over the years. One of these projects is the SADC Regional Integration Series, which of course course, this year is a series that began on the 9th of February and it is still running until the 16th of February. I am joined now in studio by the project coordinator from the Coordinating Assembly of the Non-Governmental Organizations, Begani Dlamini from Kango. Ngosi sikuvusele namhla ehlelweni sibonga kakhulu ukuthi ukhonile kuvuka kutawuba nathi ekuseni. Uvuka ngetingweti Ngosi.
Sivusele Ncimalo, siyabonga kakhulu kuba sehlelweni. Sivuke ekuseni kakhulu Ncimalo.
Ngosi. Dlamini, I was very interested kubona ukuthi sekaqalela ama series SADC integration. Siyathi lo ukuthi acukethe indvo letinengi letiphathelene nayo integration lapha ku region esifundeni seSADC. Kungaba nje kusi unpackela ncenye nembukele ekhaya atawukhona kuyilandzela kahle lendzaba ukuthi uma sikhuluma ngayo le SADC integrated institutional capacity building project sikhuluma ngani vele?
Angiphenze ngibonge Ncimalo, and thank you very much for having me on the show. The project lena is a regional project le initiated ngu-SADC whereby wafaka i-call for proposal Kango ke kanye nebalingani bakhe baseLesotho, which is the Lesotho Council of Non-Government Organizations. Bafaka sicelo ke 2021 for this project ukuthi babe lenye aba echuba lo hlelo. This project initially entails ukuthi si kumekusena kakhulu nema civil society organizations within the region about regional integration. Nekuthi ke sihambise kakhulu ukuthi yini mbamba regional integration in the perspective yaka SADC. As you know, that SADC is a regional body and ifake amavela lamanye about 13 of the countries. So kakhulu ukuthi sikhulumisana nama CSOs in the region and sive ngabo ukuthi yini abakwadiko nge-regional integration. Ikakhulu le kukhulumisana nabo and sharing information about regional integration in the various thematic areas and protocols aka SADC on the same. So basically this project is just to sensitize and create awareness on regional integration from the broad and various perspective, and neguthi mayini ma benefits regional integration banga yini labangacubungula from regional integration as CSOs, and ukuthi uphethe SADC within the perspective. So kakhulu nje ukuthi she created that awareness on regional integration.
Yeah, you're touching on EMA benefits from the integration. Ngifuna ukuthi siwa unpack if you will Ngosi. What are some of these benefits that these organizations can benefit, and of course I think ultimately that SADC can benefit, and Eswatini in particular?
First and foremost, like I said before, each integration is regional, regional. So each country within the region has projects like Baba now within their own coffers, I would say, like governments. Yeah. But at the same time, SADC uba now projects like initiated that are regional, cutting across countries. So in a nutshell, we are talking about if there's a project that is regional, akona benefits, like I make reference ukuthi mhlawumbe ngabekisa nasikhuluma nge-trade ukuthi kukhona ukuthengiselana amongst countries, kukhona ukuthi lama CSOs la khona, even ordinary citizens khona ukuthi athola ukuthi yini la khona trade akho. Let me give an example. In terms of pharmaceuticals, you find that there's a regional block about pharmaceuticals. Maybe there's an industry that can be established within the region that can sell pharmaceuticals, for instance. So you can see in terms of supply chain, value chain, moving across pharmaceuticals across the region. You see there can be those inroads into the value chain, supply chain, and mechanism in that regard. Just to name but a few. If you talk about macroeconomics, in terms of macroeconomic within the region, in terms of the economies of the countries, they're not the same. Yeah. But at the same time, as we engage on the policies, on the fundamental regional blocks, we can say benefit. We said, what are the indexes and the trends in terms of economics? Just to name but a few in that regard.
Yeah, and I can tell from that response that indeed some of these things that are essentially improved, the provision of resources and the expansion of areas of trade. Yeah. But I also want to come back into the growth and development, particularly hlangothini le improved employment opportunities, because nasibuka nje la kaNgwane, I think that's an area that we really need to benefit kulo. Nasibuka nje unemployment, not just from youth unemployment, the overall unemployment yelive la kaNgwane. How does this create opportunities then?
Thank you very much. I think you've touched upon a very fundamental point, and I just want to indicate with this morning we're having a webinar on movement of the people, which talks to employment and e-workforce and human capital. That regard. What we talk about is that if you talk about movement of people, you talk about people moving from one country to another for various reasons. It could be for holidays, for pleasure, for business, even for employment. The opportunities that are availed through the regional blocks in terms of employment, and looking at human capital, what are the needs within the region? What are the requirements in the region? It's in the job market within the region in that regard. So you find that if you look at that thematic area about moving the people, you will find that there are employment opportunities within each and every country, and within the regional bloc, we can have avenues to explore and take advantage of those employment opportunities, even education. To name other thing. When you see within the region, you look at the demand of the skills in the region. Then you look at the education within the region. Is it suitable for the job market within the region? So those are things we'll be discussing this morning, and looking with the experts on region integration. We would say what are the trends, what are the opportunities, what is the job market, what can we do as the countries within the region to take advantage of those opportunities, and looking move the people, also looking at within the borders. Are there ease of crossing? Are we ease of movement of goods? Ease of trade in that regard. So see broadly in that regard. So sivela little towards bantu engage with the issues. If there are any issues, they can raise them up with the relevant authorities within the country and within SADC. Or see face another challenges within that. So I think you touched upon a very fundamental point on that.
And I love how in most of your answers you never leave out the most important aspect of trade. It has been reiterated in a lot of SADC summits with heads of government and as well as heads of states. I do remember that the SADC Trade Protocol, which of course gave birth to the Southern African Free Trade Area. How much of it is integrated in this project, and how do you seek to foster integration, in particular using the African Free Trade Area? These are one of the things that you keep talking about in your project.
Thank you very much, Ngumalo. In that aspect, Ngumalo, trade is one of the pillars of a livelihood economy. For the economy to thrive, there needs to be trade, needs to be exchange of goods and exchange of services. So African Continental Free Trade Agreement how can we access markets outside the country, within the region, even other blocks, regional blocks. So the project it's asivetela amathuba, sivetela lama avenues when they go within the region. What are the other bodies like the African Continental Free Trade Agreement? What does it entail? What does Leswati or Leswati stand to benefit? And how can we then open lama avenues for bomagela bale my handicraft? Kuna market for their goods, kuna market for the thing. Atin lama value chain, atin lama supply chain. When they go within the region, how can we open that space within that for not only Eswatini, for other countries within the region? So Labo Africa Continental Free Trade are the other avenues, the other bodies that are there within the region that are there to spearhead and being a springboard for economic livelihood and thriving of the trade. So basically, Ngumalo, lana sikhuluma ukuthi sifuna kuveta lama letingone tikhona nekuthi sivete ukuthi kwendekani within the region, so that kube khona lokuthengiselana, kube khona lokuxhumana, kube khona nokuthi kuvuse imnotho yemave akhona in the region for everybody, from the ordinary citizen to lo sondonzima mhlambe lokhona kumakethe naye athi kwendekani lama goods uthi afike kuye awuhambise ahamba kanjani angavula kanjani bosekho nje siyathinsela nabo ukuthi naba bosekwe bakhona abantu bathengisa ama-handicraft and other avenues. SETCO is also into capacity building. Vusa amathuba ukuthi how can they build capacity for ordinary citizens and business people in the country ukuthi ukuze ukhona ukuthi uzuze ufuna ube nani ukuze ukhona ukuthi uqine ufuna ube nani utokhona ukuthi uqhudelana nalabanye bozakwenu labanye amave in that regard. So I think in a nutshell enximalo sifuna nje ukuthi sivulele lelo thuba lelo.
I'm well aware, as Kango, you have the specific, objective to serve civil society organizations. I just want to know from your own empirical, experience and research, if you look at our civil society in Eswatini, do you see how wide is the gap, first and foremost, or rather, how deficient is it from such information? How much of it is needed, especially right now?
It's not Eswatini kuphela. I think we're currently conducting a study, online study, kuva ukuthi ma-CSOs la khona within the region athi kangakanani nje nge-regional integration, athi kangakanani ne-SADC akhona la zuzile from the now. Lesikutholile just from the preliminary results ekhona ukuthi labanengi ukhanza ukuthi because of the not understanding and not being aware umuntu antetelele esigodini sakhe noma lapha eboxini lakhe angakhona ukuthi avulela amathuba noma abule amathuba abantu sikwendeka ne-region umuntu nje akhona ukuthi athengise la khona ama endele business la khona but ke lesikufuna ukuthi sikuqondise la ukuthi it's not only in Eswatini kuphela. We found that in even other countries they're the same. To answer your question, ma-CSOs ahlukene and the makeup ahlukene. Lesitholile kuye nje kulama results, preliminary results ukuthi they're working in silos. Abasebenzela ngamunye. So le project lena ifuna ukuthi wathi uthi kunabani wendani. Ukhona lokho similar to what you're doing within the country, even beyond the country. Ukuthi ukhona ukuthi ku network, ukhona ukuthi uthole leyo network lo. And we have found that even labanye ba trader even across the country, they're only trading as individuals, but there are other counterparts that they can take advantage of within the region. How can I move my goods across? How can I take advantage? Not even I can be there physically, but the networking component. So I think to a naturally but it's not Eswatini pen.
Yeah, and I like that you put it like that. Knowledge generation and knowledge sharing, and how you have expounded on its importance on this document here. But I also have this particular interest at Nzabento. Do you have a particular provision or rather interest in capacitating women ngoba sisibonile indzaba ye equality ukuthi indzaba lese ingathi say yabobotha kulamalanga lekhulunyiswa kakhulu, and I'm glad one of the members of the audiences la Kangwane kule regional series letinayo this time around is Thembela Msibi. In fact, I was talking to her yesterday. Sikile sabanabo betabato represent women in trade and development. Some of the active members within some of these projects that you are doing, is there particular interest in capacitating women at Nzabende Tifana Nalet?
It's not particular interest. I think it's the landscape that is there. Where women are the ones that are involved in trade, in business, or even in the CSOs la fufugago in the countries within the region. So sibabonile vele baba involved in most of the projects that now, even the activities now. Last week the webinar the majority of them they were women. But of particular interest when in this instance vele ukanda ukuthi kule CSO, particularly in the issue of cross-border trade.
Yes.
You talk of your hawkers, you talk about now. The women are the ones in the forefront because of the dynamics that are there. They are the ones that are looking after the homes. Me and you are here looking for working ilana base kaya and you can see to increase the economy of the household. They're the ones that are there involved in that instance. So I think it's not unique to Eswatini, but it's across the board. We've seen that women are playing, and we as Kango Vele want to see build the capacity of CSOs, regardless of where they are in the country, and we work with a number of them that are women led.
Yeah, I want us to get into these 5 pillars, and so I'll break it down one by one. You have touched on them, in fact, in most of your answers, but I'm interested. So I'll break it one by one. There's a reason for that. Trade integration, I think you've touched on that already, but there's productive integration, there's macroeconomic integration, and infrastructural integration. I'm very interested in infrastructural integration, now macroeconomic integration. I started like infrastructural integration. What do you mean by infrastructural integration, and how do you achieve Leo Pilale?
Just to make my answer now. Uma ufuna kusuka lana uye eZimbabwe. Ngiyabekisa. Normally nawuhamba phansi uhamba ngemgwaqo. Le mgwaqo ihamba across countries. So mnasikhuluma lo sikhuluma ngetakhiwo. Ngaba imigwaqo, ngaba emadamu.
Asichubeke ngalo mgwaqo, ngiyayithanda le ndlela silesihamba ngayo le mgwaqo ngoba kunenzaba lebobothako nje, in fact la khaya.
Okay. Ukhanze ukuthi mhlawumbe kuze ukuthi umgwaqo ufike maybe eZimbabwe kufune undle emaveni. Kufune bene ukukhulumisana la mavi la umgwaqo uhamba khona ukuthi hey kunemgwaqo utawusuka lana eZimbabwe. Singasekela njani ukuthi ningasika kanjani njenge leave ukuthi le umgwaqo wakheke across nango. So sikhuluma ngaloko, then ke le project yaka SADC infrastructural integration ikhuluma ukuthi emave akakhulumisana ukuthi yathi kuze sifufule umnotho yalamave kufune siqinise imigwaqo wena Eswatini, wena Mozambique, wena South Africa, wena Zimbabwe kuze ukuthi nikhona nangifakani imali ukuthi kwakheke umgwaqo kube naloko bese bakhona mhlambe iproject mhlambe lebakhona within SADC, within the region ukuthi oh, we have so much maybe resources that are available, can you tap into that so that we can meet you halfway ngiyabekisa kuloko. So sikhuluma ngaloko ikhuluma ngabogesi, ikhuluma ngabo telecommunications, ikhuluma ngemadam. A classical example nje South Africa emandaba bathola ilisuthu yabona. So lokho kufuna bene khulumisana integration kufuna bene khulumisana
just like that's guess what
South Africa kufuna bana le integration naloko nala netuvumelane within the protocol. So sikhuluma something like that. So sifuna ukuthi what is happening in that space, and what are the issues nyalo sikhuluma nje ukuthi sifuna ukuthi thine Eswatini sibe na guess wesiphehlelako. How far can we go to the extent? How far can we ensure that happens? And what government is doing to that regard? So SADC is also pushing that agenda. As a country, you can have to now be independent, but at the same time, we have an aspect of regional integration. So, infrastructure,
yeah, and you know, I'm taken aback to last year. In fact, middle of the year last year, the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Kumalo, is touring one of the factory shells, Sebendago. As he is touring His Majesty's investor vision in some of these countries, most of these investors, what's impeding them from coming into Eswatini and actually investing in Eswatini is our road state. It should be up to par with the global standard, and in that way people will come into Eswatini and invest. And I love the fact that it actually aligns with that answer that you just gave in terms of our infrastructure should be up to par, so that there's that trade integration. Macroeconomic integration and perhaps productive integration, because
Masukuma macroeconomics kakhulu sikhuluma ngokuthi temnotho at a macro level. Kuma ukuthi kwendekani in each country in terms of economics. What robust measures can be taken to kufufukele iminotho of the countries within the region. Ukuthi ke kube khona lokuthi kuthelelana lwati in terms of what are the indexes of economics, what are the things that can ensure ukuthi the economy of the region iyafufuka. Nekuthi ke uma ubuka nje lemnotho asifanani unabo khona babo sodonzima. But ke mokuba ngabo sakhu to name but a few. How can those avenues be used to increase the economy of those countries, sharing of the resources within that regard. Lama resources le aye kakhulu good development of those economies. So sikhuluma kakhulu lokuthi how can we take advantage of lama economies could be the trade aspect, could be the productive aspect, it could be the infrastructure aspect about to kuyathelelana. But kakhulu sikhuluma ukuthi le minotho yethu ayimane ibe inga ngoba kunale aspect ukuthi uma lo munye ashona phasi affected the other economy. So funeka sonke sibe at least siphakame noma not at the same level but silekelelana in that regard. So isikhuluma ngaloko in that regard. What are the things that we put in place in the increasing both trade agreements, cross-border trade to name but a few, and other aspects of that.
And then the project, I understand there's what you call an information web portal. I want us to tap into that because it's very important. Information. So if there's going to be an information web portal, now that we have this opportunity to actually speak to the masses, information web portal.
Low SADC institutional capacity building project is just an umbrella project. Kunale particular thematic area yakona, which is strengthening engagement and cooperation with civil society organization. Lo ukuthi siqinisele ukuxhumana ne civil society organizations. So the information sharing imqoka kakhulu, because information is one of the key aspects ukuthi wendlulise uhambise lwati nokuthi kwendekani enang. So le portal yethu let's initiate even the nama webinars, some of the aspects online. Sifuna stimulate engagement, discussion. Kube ne one place center whereby people can engage and raise issues and also interact amongst themselves, also with SADC, using these different structures. SADC last year in August, the summit bekhona. Kule 9 state actors engagement mechanism ayipasisile lengicabanga ukuthi soon nathi as Eswatini stawova kabanti ngayo. Sifile input as civil society organizations kuleyo instrument leyo as Kango and other players in the labor market nang. Ukuthi SADC kufuna ukuthi kube nale structure lesikhona within the institution to engage. So one of the aspects will be the portal. What are the issues that are happening regionally? What are people inquiring? What people desire to see happening within SADC, within their own countries, and what are the benefits thereof of Leo engagement Leo? So the information now is available. Apart from my website SADC, this portal will also be a central point to stimulate and be a catalyst for raising issues, and also with the mechanism, the corner United States actors mechanism to impact a few. So agakulu sifuna lokuthi kube ne activity, vibrant activity in terms of information sharing.
And anyone can join. Anyone can join. Anyone who's interested.
Anyone can join the web portal and nyalo nje encourage nyalo. Today and on Thursday from 10 to 11:30 ungena go Facebook page aga Kango ukhona ku interact. You find people from across the region.
And this one is the SADC Integrated Institutional Capacity Building Project in particular.
Thank you very much, Nomalo. Thank you for your time.
That was Begani Dlamini, who is the project coordinator with the Coordinating Assembly of Non-Governmental Organizations. Leyatiwa ngeKhango usichazela ke ngabanti ngeSADC integration series labanayo. Uyasho ukuthi nanitfola lapha etinkundleni tekuchumana ka Facebook niyayitfola ilink. Anyone can join and be a part of these conversations. This is a very important conversations uma sikhulumisa ke ema visions aSADC ekuthuthukisa ema member states akhe. And Eswatini is a member state of SADC indeed. Lokunye nje into lengichaza kakhulu labayikhulumisako is the fact that this integration is essential for the region, and its benefits include economic growth and development, improved employment opportunities, efficient provision of resources, expanded areas of trade, and improving diplomatic ties. Some of these things that our country needs now more than ever. Stabahlola imakethe nasibuya sichubeke nehlelo.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Yeah, 58 minutes after 6 lo mhla ekuseni kulesikhathi sanyalo ke lapho khona sichumana naye Sergeant Bekmuzi Gule from the Royal Eswatini Police Services lo sipha traffic update simo nje semgwaco lapha eveni Makobane. Sibonge ke kusijoyina nalo mhla elihlelweni through the phone. Engabe sime kanjani simo emigwacweni?
Angivusele Mnguni, ngivusele umbukeli welihlelo. Yebo liphakamisile ngaphandle kepha ke umthelela wathi imvula esimeni semgwaqo solo ukhona lokho kubonakala ngemandi la khona emigwaqweni, emifuleni, edihosheni kanjalo ke nawe ama potholes nakuyo imigwaqo ledeltiyela iyabonakala ukuthi solo ayikho esimeni lesikahle. Ukuthata kucizelela umshayeli ukuthi nakubo simo semigwaqo sinje asichubeke sishayele ngalokukhulu ukucophelela emehlo akho abe ngilakhalphile kucenza yona indlela bese uthatha ke tona inqumo letiyawuba ngilethe letifanele. Kanti ke emadolobheni ethu lamakhulu tibane leti lapha eceleni kwaseposini eMbabane at 7 nyala ekseni kanjalo netibane leti lapha eceleni kwasesibhedlela na uqhamuka e-industrial site le uqhamuka ku Cash Build uhamba nga Crescent Road ubuka sona sibhedlela noma uqhamuka esibhedlela ubheka khona e-industrial site leto tibane leto ati ukhombisi umbala lobovu ukhombisa ukuthi setivalile kulelo hlangothi. Siyakhuthaza nje kakhulu ukuthi asinake asicaphele ikakhulukazi nawe yakhona lapha kumahlangana ndlela njengoba kuyindzawo lengaba nayo ingoti ikakhulukazi na ungeke waqaphelisisa ungumshayeli. Kanti nemigwaqo yethu leyakhiwa kwedolobheni solo ivaliwe somhlolo namakhosini drive. Kanti ke nawehla inthaba yakumalagwane uyahambeka kulolu hlangothi lolubheka khona kamanzini noko solo ikhona i-cooling station lapha eTulu enthabeni yakumalagwane. Kanti ke nawenyuka lapha usanza nje kwencanaya i-roundabout utawu on rampa ubuka eTulu lapha kuleya cooling station kuneloli lapho lethetheke ingcenye yemzila yokuhamba ifile ke khona lapho pasa lesicanco nje bese welela lapha eMangwaneni primary. Siyakhuthaza ke bashayele ngalokukhulu ukucophelela basasonzela kuleyo ngcingwana leyo. Kanti lapha edolobheni lakumathapha na uqhamuka khona kumashayitapula ubheka khona lapha kaNdlunganye nga-MR31 kulomzila lobheka khona kaNdlunganye kune pothole noma ke umsele lomubi lapha eceleni kwalawo ama-car wash esithi ke bashayela baqaphele lapho tibekiwe ke timpawu sisebenzisa ke umzila munye kuleyo ngcingwana leyo. Sawuniketana wona ke emathuba nasekhasi edolobheni lakamanzini solo sivaliwe lesasisaladi lesingikhayeli street lesibheka lapha ku-Court Valley na usuka khona lapha elikhaka. Kanti kulesinye itifunza lesingakuqaphelisisa nje ngeto imithelela yato timvula lesibonakalako emgwaqweni noko etindaweni esiningi lapho unakele khona umgwaqo noma ke lapho kungahambeki khona divaliwe ke noma ke kubekiwe lezo mpawu letingitona tikucaphelisa ngesikhathi umshayeli isikhumbula kushayela ngalokukhulu ukucophelela ilanga lelithando noma inyanga yelithando lena asikhumbule ke nasemgwaqweni siyadinga ukukhombisana nekuniketana lona lithando sisawusebenzisa umgwaqo ngokuthi loyo losombona sekasephutheni chubeka ukhombise lithando qhubeka ukhombise lithando nasekushayeleni kwakho nje ulandele tona timpawu temgwaqo sinakane sihloniphane kuze sibe nelisuku loluhle ngiyabonga kakhulu ngoni nginifiselela ngalihle sisachubeka nemsebenzi wethu libandla labonjinela naso sibe semaswati sisifiselela ngalolihle naleliphephile sawusebenzisa umgwaqo. Thank you sir.
Siyabonga kakhulu Magwabane. Uthinza yona ke Magwabane indzaba ukuthi iValentine ayigcini nje lana kubo personal level kuphela kodwa nalami igwaqweni nanisabambe tona steering emotweni. iValentine kufuna ukuthi nibe nalo lolo thando for the passengers, for the drivers and for the other bantu labashayela timotoro celeni kwenu kube bhede ingodi emigwaqweni. Sibonga kakhulu Magwabane nanabo ke sifisela usuku loluhle nisachuba unomsebenzi weliva. Sibahlole emakethe masibuye emakethe sibuka indzaba lechamuka ngaphandle kwalapha ekhaya.
Watch local TV on the go with the Eswatini TV app for only 20 emalangeni per month. Do the most with Eswatini TV app. Download from Google Play Store or App Store. We're good together.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
And now for our international news, we start in the United States, where another unidentified flying object has been downed by U.S. combat aircraft in North American airspace. The latest incident came on Sunday over Lake Huron. It's the fourth object shot out of the sky by U.S. fighter jets in 8 days, along with ones over Alaska and Canada and a suspected Chinese spy balloon.
Another close encounter of the military kind. A U.S. fighter jet shot down an unidentified object over Lake Huron near the Canadian border Sunday. The Pentagon says it appeared to have traveled over U.S. military installations, heightening suspicions that it may have been a surveillance device.
These most recent objects do not pose a kinetic military threat, but they're passed in proximity to sensitive DoD sites, and the altitude that they were flying could be a hazard to civilian aviation.
The latest object was described as an octagonal structure with strings hanging from it. Officials believe it was the same entity first detected as a radar blip over Montana on Saturday. Its downing was the third in as many days after the interception of two cylindrical flying objects, first off the coast of Alaska, then over Canada's Yukon territory.
An American F-22 successfully shot down the object. Recovery teams are on the ground looking to find and analyze the object.
Those incidents followed the downing on February 4th of a suspected Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina. North American Aerospace Defense Command has recalibrated its radars to track slower-moving objects since that balloon crossed the continental U.S. Military officials, though, have so far offered little in the way of possible explanations for the recent slew of aerial incursions.
We take our attention now to Cyprus, where the island nation of Cyprus has a new president. Former Foreign Minister Nikos Christodoulides won Sunday's runoff election, taking just under 52% of the vote. Let's take a look.
In the hometown of Nikos Christodoulides, celebrations spill out onto the streets. The former foreign minister was elected president of Cyprus on Sunday with almost 52% of votes. Speaking at his campaign headquarters, Christodoulides called for unity.
What I said during the pre-election campaign about the need to form a government of broad social acceptance, was not a pre-election slogan. It was something that we will implement, and the Cypriot people will see it.
Christodoulides inherits the challenge of trying to revive peace talks with the country's Turkish Cypriots. The island has been divided since a 1974 Turkish invasion, triggered by a coup d'etat backed by Greece. As well as solving what's known as the Cyprus problem, voters are hoping the new president can address higher energy bills, irregular immigration, corruption, and the struggling economy.
We were united with the Turkish Cypriots before, and we want a solution to be able to live in peace and reunify our island.
I have concerns, like all citizens, about the Cyprus problem, corruption and the economy. These are the most important.
The last round of peace talks with Turkish Cypriots collapsed in 2017. As a government spokesperson and close confidant of the president at the time, Christodoulides was a key insider during those negotiations. He wants to resume talks, but says the United Nations framework that governs them should be revised.
And now in Israel, a 9-7 margin in the hotly contested Constitutional Reform Passing Committee after a stormy session where lawmakers had to be restrained. Benjamin Netanyahu's hard-right coalition, unmoved by tens of thousands who rallied outside the Knesset, rejecting calls by the president to compromise on plans to water down the power of the judiciary.
A wave of blue and white outside Israel's parliament. Tens of thousands gathered to protest their opposition against the judicial reform proposed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government.
We came to demonstrate against the very aggressive legislation which gonna turn Israel from a liberal democracy into a fascist dictatorship.
The separation of authorities is critical to the existence of democracy, and we need to do everything in our power to prevent it.
The controversial plans would give lawmakers tighter control of the Supreme Court, including greater power in the appointment of judges, as well as overturning laws and government decisions. The proposed overhaul has sparked widespread criticism in and out of Parliament. A stormy session in the Knesset on Monday saw opposition lawmakers banging on the table and chanting shame in protest. Netanyahu accusing his opponents of inciting anarchy.
The left-wing demonstration is calling the Prime Minister a traitor. I call on the leaders of the opposition, stop it. Stop deliberately dragging the country into anarchy. Get a hold of yourselves. Show responsibility and leadership, because you are doing the exact opposite.
As Netanyahu's proposals inch their way towards approval through preliminary votes, critics say the reform would weaken checks and balances, handing unbridled power to the executive and the Knesset. They also say the Prime Minister is motivated by a personal grudge, as Netanyahu himself is currently on trial for corruption and fraud.
And now here's an update on the Turkey and Syria earthquake. February 13 marks 1 week since devastating twin earthquakes struck the Turkish-Syrian border, with the death toll surpassing 30,000 and hundreds of thousands more homeless. The region remains in the grip of a growing humanitarian crisis.
For many earthquake survivors, the painful wait continues for loved ones still buried in collapsed buildings as rescuers race against time to find survivors.
Two of our relatives are under the rubble. They still could not take them out. So we are waiting. We don't know if they are alive or dead, but mostly dead bodies come out now. Some come out alive, but not many. We are waiting. God should not make anyone experience such a thing.
successes still occur. 6 days after the quake, a US search and rescue team dug out a survivor, part of a growing global effort to help. But with over 7,000 buildings destroyed and many more uninhabitable, shelter is of critical importance, with the region in the grip of bitter sub-zero temperatures. For many, just staying warm is a daily struggle.
I applied, but no one gave me a tent. I'm taking care of orphan children. The front of my house was utterly cracked. We were afraid to go back there. There are some places to shelter from the cold, like mosques, schools, and condolence houses, and these are the places we have been staying.
Many remote villages where temperatures drop to -20 Celsius are only now starting to receive assistance, thanks in many cases to local support groups. Neighbouring Syria too is only now starting to receive aid. AIDS groups warn assistance is desperately needed in the rebel-controlled Idlib province that was devastated by the quakes.
The delay in accessing the aids and the humanitarian aids through the borders increased the vulnerability, increased the crisis which is affecting the people over there. These medical supplies is approaching to be finished. And also the logistic supplies for the civil defense are approaching to finish, including diesel for the equipments and vehicles for evacuation.
In Turkey, international assistance is picking up as the government faces criticism over the speed of its response to the disaster. Those in shelters contemplate the painful reality they face.
We are staying with 4 families in this tent. We have no heating, we have nothing. You can see this is all we have.
Survivors in Turkey and Syria face the prospect of having to rebuild with nothing, at a time when so many are grieving the loss of their loved ones. Doreen Jones, VOA News, Istanbul.
And now here's a story that's on theme with today's business. Valentine's Day is the busiest time of the year for the flower industry in Kenya, the 4th largest exporter of cut flowers in the world. Kenya's rose and carnation producers are also showing love to Mother Earth by shifting to solar power to fight climate change.
It's a beehive of activity at AgriFlora Kenya, a flower factory in Nakuru County, the heartland of Kenya's floriculture industry. It's almost Valentine's Day, the busiest time of the year for flower growers around the world. The cut flower industry generates hundreds of millions of dollars for Kenya each year, but the industry has been blamed for widespread pollution.
The industry has been under a lot of scrutiny, both locally and internationally, and we've had to deal with a lot of issues of environmental pollution, worker or human rights violations.
Environmentalists say industries in Africa have the opportunity to go green.
To focus on leveraging clean energy solutions, sun, hydro, geothermal. And when you look at the flower industry, especially in Kenya, it's actually getting into the space of clean energy.
Kenya's flower producers say in recent years, they have been shifting to solar power for lights and equipment, in part to cut carbon emissions and fight climate change.
By embracing solar, we are trying to control the emission of carbon dioxide from what we are doing in the farm. So we've estimated by embracing solar to be cutting down on carbon dioxide emissions by about 52 tons per month. That translates to about 600 tons of carbon dioxide every year.
Flower growers say solar power has also cut production costs.
Our normal cost of power for all farms ranges between $90,000 to $100,000 a month. And now we are looking at, if you do 40%, we are saving an estimate of around $40,000 a month.
Despite efforts to shift to solar power, private businesses like AgriFlora say they cannot store all the power they can harness. Industry officials say that's because under current law, businesses are not allowed to store excess solar power on the national grid for future use. Environment experts say governments in Africa need to do more to incentivize and promote solar uptake.
The fly industry that you mentioned, investing in clean energy and specifically solar, and making their full operation 100% solar, needs to see what they're going to gain by moving away from their current operations to clean energy operations.
The lower electricity costs from solar power would mean even bigger profits during peak periods like Valentine's Day.
Valentine is very important in the flower calendar. It's the time when, of course, it's the time for love, but at the same time, it's a time for the growers to really make up for highest sales in the season.
As consumers learn more about sustainability and climate change, environmentalists say flower growers, like other industries, will have even more incentive to go green. Juma Majanga for VOA News, Nakuru.
Cambodian authorities say heavy rains and a bumper fish crop have improved life along the Mekong River after a nearly 4-year drought. Poor harvests and the pandemic took a heavy toll on some 65 million people who rely on the waterway for their daily livelihoods.
Cambodia had lots of rain during the last monsoon, prompting the Mekong River Commission to declare a near 4-year drought in the lower Mekong Basin over. Authorities in Cambodia have also reported a bumper annual fish harvest. Officials say early reports suggest this year's fish harvest is up by 40% from last year, and that this was helped by a crackdown on illegal fishing and a ban on taking endangered species during spawning season. However, many village fishermen complain their hauls remain small when compared with 5 to 10 years ago, and believe this is due to the relentless construction of upstream dams and illegal fishing. Hook Udom, a raw fish seller, works near the banks of the Mekong River, just outside of Phnom Penh, and says ethnic Vietnamese and Muslim Chams, who traditionally rely on fishing for their living, are still having a hard time.
It's different before. Don't have much fish right now, and most of the Vietnam and Cham people don't have much like before now, and the fish is less than before.
Fisherman Tang Makara, speaking from his boat on the shoreline of the Mekong River east of Phnom Penh, once made a reasonable living when fishing with his wife, but now she makes better money working as a cook.
During these last few years after the dams were built, I could barely catch a fish, and it is hard to make a livelihood.
He estimated his fish catch is down by half.
The waterways are not working as usual. It's hard for fish to migrate.
Nguyen Van Prap and his brother Dan are ethnic Vietnamese and used to fish the Mekong near Phnom Penh with their father. But he says there are many fewer fishing boats now because fish stocks are low.
He was a fisherman a long time ago, but he's not anymore. The month with the most fish is December. After that, there are not many fish left to catch anymore.
Dam construction is part of a rapid modernisation drive in China and mainland Southeast Asia. Many in Laos, which intends to raise living standards by becoming the battery of Southeast Asia, selling hydroelectricity across the region through Thailand to provide reliable energy for industry, flood control, irrigation and clean drinking water. The Washington-based Stimson Centre, which tracks the Mekong, says water levels have returned to the low level normal for this time of year as the dry season nears its peak. The centre says the drought might be over in the lower Mekong, but northern Thailand, Laos and southwest China are still dry, and the river system needs a few more years of regular rainfall to recover. It adds 118 dams have been built along a river ecosystem complicated by climate change, and the main concern is 11 dams that block the mainstream of the river and another 3 mainstream dams that are planned near the massive Zabri Dam in northern Laos. Laos and China have said fish ladders constructed within the dams have mitigated any impact on fish migration and numbers, and ensured a steady flow of water during drought. Filmmaker Tom Forthrop in Chiang Mai, Thailand, who released A River Screams for Mercy, a documentary on the plight of the Mekong, says warnings have not been heeded.
There was a scientific report that warned everybody what the impacts would be. And now when we look at the Mekong today, the dams like the Sudbury Dam, farmers and fishermen and communities are complaining most of the fish catch has been destroyed.
Those reports include forecasts from Vietnam's Centre for Earthquake and Tsunami Warnings and Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, that the weight of dams in northern Laos might increase the probability of earthquakes in a region already prone to seismic activity.
Not sufficient attention has been given to the earthquake threat around northern Laos. All these new dams are being built in a very earthquake active zone.
Forthrop says calls for a moratorium on dam construction should be heard when leaders from the lower Mekong countries, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam and Laos, hold a summit to deliberate on the fate of the river in April. Luke Hunt for VOA News, Phnom Penh, Cambodia.
Now, migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border seeking legal entry into the U.S. must now request processing appointments through a Customs and Border Protection mobile application called CBD-1. But amid overwhelming demand, some complain the app doesn't work.
Hundreds of migrants along the border seeking humanitarian parole have been struggling to get an appointment with Customs and Border Protection, CBP, to present themselves at a port of entry for possible admittance to the United States.
We get depressed. We feel like crying because it's been so long already.
Angeline Castellano is a Venezuelan migrant who says she and many others are frustrated with how difficult it is to navigate the CBP-1 mobile application. Migrants VOA spoke to are encountering problems after they submit their personal information and request appointments.
It takes my photo and it gets registered, and there. It shows what bridge I have to go to, the date and time, but it does not send. There is an option to send, but it does not send.
Dozens of migrants are at the Reynosa Hidalgo International Bridge between Texas and the Mexican state of Tamaulipas trying to get information. They say the time allotted to finish applying for an appointment runs out in a matter of minutes. Others say access to the application is blocked.
It looks like they only enable it from 8 to 9 in the morning, and after that it no longer opens to show calendars, times, or anything.
Error, error, error. And the truth is that I don't know where to go to be able to legally enter the United States.
Limited digital literacy and high cellular data costs are making the process harder for some migrants, many of whom also feel vulnerable and insecure in Mexico.
Things are complicated for us, and family members waiting, and many people don't have money.
Here we go through a little bit of everything in our current situation. In how we sleep, sometimes we don't eat.
According to a CBP spokesperson, the system is working. The CBP told us the system has successfully received information from 100,000 people and scheduled upwards to 20,000 appointments. But CBP also admits there is an incredible high demand. Their advice: check the system every day early in the morning when new appointments become available. Victor Hugo Castillo for VOA News, McAllen, Texas.
In America, the planned clearing of a homeless encampment in America's capital has again put a spotlight on the country's homelessness crisis. Now, VOA visited the park where scores dwell in makeshift shelters to learn about the challenge.
Homeless people living in tents in park lands across the U.S. Capitol. It's a site that federal authorities want gradually gone by the end of this year. McPherson Square is on the list of sites where a no camping regulation will be enforced. The National Park Service told VOA in a statement that closing this encampment, which is just a few blocks from the White House, will allow the authorities to ensure the safety of the general public and of those living here. Alisa Griffin, who works in D.C., looks forward to having a neat park back.
At the same time, at the expense of relocating people that don't have anywhere to go, I don't see that as a solution either.
The Office of Washington's Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services says it's connecting those experiencing homelessness with services based on their needs and eligibility for housing services. Daniel Kingery, who moved to McPherson Square from another park in 2020, says clearing encampments is a flawed strategy, and many dwellers will just switch locations.
It's a cycle that the government keeps going to make it look like they're doing something. They'll clear this area while they scatter the population. Then they'll go to another one.
Last year, the U.S. government calculated nearly 600,000 people were experiencing homelessness across the nation. Kelly Andre, who heads Georgetown Ministry Center, says a permanent fix demands a holistic approach.
To support individuals with their mental health, with their substance use disorders, or with their employment and employability within the community.
We first met A. Addison back in 2020 when he was experiencing homelessness. After deciding to seek help, he now has his own apartment and is employed.
I look at it from a perspective of having empathy and compassion and being able to lend a helping hand to individuals who are homeless and being able to lead them towards the right resources.
Boosting affordable housing, coupled with providing health care, job training, and legal assistance, are among the strategies the Biden administration is betting on to reduce homelessness by 25% over the next 2 years. Washington's mayor has pledged to end homelessness in the district by 2025. Veronica Valderas Iglesias, VOA News, Washington.
And now here's a discovery from the medicine sector. Experts predict that psychedelic compounds could become a billion-dollar industry for treating depression and trauma after initial clinical trials in the United States show promising results. Out of respect for medical privacy, some full names were not used.
The future of psychedelics in psychiatry can be found in Midtown Manhattan at the Nushama Wellness Center. Here, under the guidance of a medical director, ketamine, a legal psychedelic, is administered to patients for an approximately 60-minute, high-dosage psychedelic experience. Cassandra, age 40, claims the benefits of this treatment outweigh traditional therapy for her.
I would say it's by far more effective, considering that I've been in therapy for at least 20 years consecutively, and I have been at Nushama for 13 months. In 13 months, I've made more progress than I have in 20 years.
At Nushama, there's a health check and a visit from the facility's medical director prior to the ketamine experience. But some experts feel there is not enough psychiatric supervision at such centers.
It's actually potentially a risky situation in which there's places that basically are high-volume clinical programs that are often not run with a lot of psychiatric oversight. A lot of them are run by anesthesiologists and other specialists who are not psychiatrists.
Hellerstein has been part of a recent FDA-approved clinical study that included 34 patients with depression who were given the psychedelic psilocybin derived from psychedelic mushrooms as a treatment for their depression.
It worked for a significant number of people, not the majority, but about 30 or 40% got better and mostly stayed better.
Hellerstein thinks there are multiple reasons for the success of these trials.
It looks like it has an effect, whether it's a psychological effect, like inducing a spiritual or mystical experience. The other hypothesis is it works on reorganizing brain networks and actually restructuring the brain and encouraging what's called neurogenesis, which is development of new brain cells.
Could this have an impact on the future of psychiatry?
I don't see it as the end of psychiatry. I see this as a class of drugs that's going to be added to our toolkit. And I think also there's risks that need to be really studied to make sure there are people who are, not going to be injured or killed by taking these drugs.
And investors are not overlooking the potential market for the companies producing psychedelic compounds.
What we see here is that during the last 3 years, over $1 billion have been invested into these companies, both at the VC stage and coming public through an IPO.
But Piros believes this is only the beginning of a new pharmaceutical industry.
Sales for the approved drugs could reach over $1 billion, which could go up during the next 5 years or by the early 2030s to north of $10 billion.
With Johns Hopkins University estimating approximately 10% of American adults 18 and older suffer from depressive illness, there is a real potential to help millions. Aaron Rainin for VOA News, New York City.
It is just gone 31 minutes after 7 ngesikhathi senyalo-ke sitawubahlola emakethe singakayi emakethe-ke sitawubuka simo selitulu kanti-ke nasibuya lungelele sits down nebaka-financial inclusion.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. Sakuvusela nawe lasanza kuzivulela lo mhla ehlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show besishito kusisita besikhulumisana nalaba suka ka Center for Financial Inclusion. Sikhuluma ngabantu ngemsebenzi lodwa ngekuthi yi-FinClude. Umsebenzi ke Financial Inclusion and Cluster Development i-FinClude umsebenzi lona lohloseke ukuthuthukisa impilo tebantfu kakhulukazi bantfu labasemakhaya ngokuthi basekelwe ngetimali tekusungula emabhizinisi emimangweni. Umsebenzi ke uphindze uvulele bosomabhizinisi emathuba etimakethe. FinClude yi-project leyaqala ngeminyaka wa 2018 ya-approve ukuthi iqale ngeminyaka wa 2018 kanti kubheke ukuthi uphele nga 2025 wabita ke imali letinga 38.56 million $38.56 asemelika. Hlelweni ke lamhla sitabe sikhulumisana na project manager wayo lomsebenzi iphumzile Mthethwa kusiniketa nje sithombe sekukuthi lo msebenzi sowuhambe kanganani nekukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe sebangakhe bantfu labazuzile kiyo le project. Minister Neil Rickenberg makasokumisa lo msebenzi nga 2020 wavetela ukuthi through the inclusive cluster development concept the project will stimulate the contribution of the rural economy to impact on economic resilience of these people and contribution to overall economic growth. Sinayeke lapha Phumzile Mthethwa kusiniketa nje somise ukuthi i-FinClude ingaba vele mhlambe ama benefits laseka realizewe ngiyo le project esekahambe afika aphi. Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think nje kusingakangeni nje kiwe lama benefits mhlambe lesesiwabonile as the project iseyivele seyiqalile kuma kusiniketa nje sithombe nje just a background info on lo msebenzi lona ukuthi kuze kube nawo lo msebenzi lona ngitiphi nje tikhala letabonakala ngokuva nje ukuthi uhamba kanjani vele.
Thank you, Lulu, and good morning to you. Ngivusele nembukeli ekhaya. Siyabonga kuba selihlelweni lise-project ya-FinClude. Njengoba ngi-introduceile ngiphumzile Mthethwa. I-project kulo 2018 bekuma-final stages ekuthi i-approve because i-project cishe lenkulu kunalamanye lesike sawenda singihulumende especially under i-Ministry of Finance. So masiqala FinClude hulumende umsayina approver towards end of 2019 September, and then that's when we needed to start operations. But of course what's ingasiqale sibe nale team letoba relevant to help with the work on the ground. So unfortunately 2020 when we had to be on the ground, I recall that March 2020, that's when we concluded for recruitment and all, and COVID happened. So because of that, one of the key challenges nje kucala ngako ukuthi sibe nale delay in the start kanti i-project hulumende lebekayiphasise ukuthi itoqala kahle in that year. So where we are now, perhaps before that, to go to your question, ukuthi i-project nayi-designer no mayiletha in the space ibuke ukuthi ito addressa ini. Ito addressa mainly issues of market linkages, ukuthi balimi emakhaya umkhicito wabo ufika njani emakethe, letingcinamba letenda ukuthi netimakethe tingawuthathi lo mkhicito, tingcinamba tini letingasonjululwa kanjani. So FinClude ngilokunye la kubukako lokho kakhulu abuke indzaba yekupromota lama value chains. So senda tilimo letisihlanu senda inyama lebovu yembuti nenkomo, so siyifaka as one category ku red meat. Sende tingulube, sende tinkhukhu lokufaka tinkhukhu tasemakhaya, sende ema vegetables ngekuhlukahlukana kuye ngalokuthi alunga endzaweni lenjani bese sesende amabhontshisi. So tonke leto tilimo leto natihlolwa emakethe kukhonzakala ukuthi sikhona sidingo even, but i-preparedness yebalimi betfu kukhonzakala ukuthi ayilifiki lelizinga lelifunwa imakethe, and imakethe tikhale ngekuthi asikhoni kuthenga kuma-farmers lamanengi lakhaya because awakhoni kumitha one lama volumes noma lokuthi siyimakethe nje sidzinga lokungakanani. Bayaletha kuhambe bese sekuyagamuka sekude sekumele ukuthi amele sivuno lesilandzelako. Kwabe sekuba netindzaba-ke tale value chain la sithi kusukela nje ekulimeni ensimini kuze kuyofika kimi nawe lesidla loko lokulinyiwe. La mkhatsisini kunemathuba lamanengi lakangasetshenziswa, kunemathuba lafaka ekhathi mhlambe bo processing bo value addition baletilimo. So nalokuthi-ke ku-coordinate kahle leli bhande nje lesilimo ngesilimo ukuthi mina nangiklabishi ngisuka emakethe ngisuka engatseni kumlimi ngisuka ngiye kuphi lapha lekumele ngabe basita lolo limako ngema inputs ba-ready yini kubasita yini tidzingo balimi labanato. So ngidawubhekisa nyalo nje sikhalo lesikhulu tidulile tintfo tekulima, balimi bayazama bayalima but abakhoni kuyenta inzuzo because lokuthenga lama inputs kudulile. Issues of transport and refrigeration because ema-markets afuna lo mkhicito usese fresh. So issues along the value chain. Bese-ke lenkhulu kakhulu yindzaba ye access to finance, which is what actually makes the project ihlale nathi ka Center for Financial Inclusion. We've had a lot of interesting conversations ukuthi ngoba le project ilbuke timfo leti agricultural oriented, kungani ukuthi isetshenzwa i-Center for Financial Inclusion. So that is the core mandate of FinClude. We are not only just looking at promoting lama commodities kuphela, lesikubuka ukuthi labalimi bagcine basitakele. Balimi-ke in the country, I think not only la even letfu, bantfu laba considered high risk, lababolekisa ngetimali, vele kuye bagcine bahlolisise before bangene into that space because of my risk laka associated. So those were the key things lebetibuka. Then the fourth one is the issue of market support development. Lokwekuthi sibaningi sima project 7. Nangilana nje khona lomnye lobukela kwekhaya uthi hawu ngani na SMLP ngani nazibani bani wenda lokho ngiyambala SMLP ka malula ngoba it's a sister project. So le coordination nalama support services ladzingwa ngilabalimi thine the players on the ground, how do we coordinate kuze kuthi ngade kusinasita lulu mangikhanza kuthi organization A sewumsitile mina ngifike ngene kuphi ngivala siphi isikhala ngidlala yipi inzima kulomlimi because sigcina sifika kubalimi sema projects lamanengi and sometimes we bring one and the same thing. So that is the overall purpose of FinClude. Sithi ke if we wanted to say to a layman sithi nje in one sentence when done FinClude si coordinate ema markets siphindze site ku-access to finance. Lokunye-ke sekusupporta those two key things.
Okay. I think lokunye nje minister lakuvete lokubalekile when launcha lo msebenzi lona indaba ukuthi ufise ukuthi include i-align nema-national policies alapha Eswatini, just such as the national strategic roadmap sa 2019 to 2023. I think from that nje kule nkulumo yakhe leyo ingabe vele mhlambe are we getting there yini? Are you getting there as include? What is the overview and overall progress? Yeah, you did mention ukuthi nibe nama hiccups here and there because of COVID-19, but nje nasibuka nje the overall and the overview yeah the project ihamba kanjani?
I think, Lulu, at this point, I can confidently say we are getting there. Like the issue of access to finance has been one of the key issues. We have been in different forums and stakeholders laga benekuthi imali ma-farmers ayithola yini. So i-project designed ngendlela yokuthi ikhona ukuthi i-create ama-partnerships nalaba betimali. And sine pocket lenkulu lesithi mhlambe we are expecting a lot of farmers bakhona ukuthi bayi access. So we are almost in the last stages of finalizing a MOU yethu with one of the financial institutions. Let's start maybe ngalenye langa sawubuya sithule officially. But while sisayisebenta leyo asgame kusita abalimi ukuthi bathole imali, we have relationships nalamanye institutions la ngaphandle kwale MOU lasekaqalile kuniketa abalimi imali, and vele labanye bathole imali cishe letinkhulu mbamba because financiers afuna kwati ukuthi lo mlimi already le business viable utawuyenda yini inzuzo akhona yini kubhadala leso sikweleti mangabathethe sikweleti. So the other thing ukuthi ukhanze ukuthi akusiyo wonke umlimi mhlambe lokhona kubolekeka makafika ku-financial institutions because emabhange nalabanye lababolekisako ukhanza athi akusitonke tinfo tekusebenta labatikhavako kulesikweleti kuba ngumthetho nje loyo World Bank. So thina as a project lesesikucalile nyalo kuprovide letinsita kubalimi laba part of le project ukuthi mangabe bekathi lo lobolekako angimthengi furnace noma mhlambe angeke ngakhe indlu yetingulube. As a project then we start to see ukuthi singaba supporta njani labalimi because at least nasona lokho ungabuyela ebhange uthi okay senginayo furnace noma senginako lokho bese libhange so uyabolekeka. So sicalile lokusita abalimi ukuthi babe a step closer to the bank.
Okay. So kubuda nje phumbu ukuthi how many farmers have you reached out to banga nje laseba benefitile nokubuda nje ukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe nayicala le projects nibuke ku reach out to how many farmers are they also aware ngalomsebenzi lona ukuthi bangakhona kusitakala ngalendlela lena?
Thank you, Lulu. It's an interesting one. But akusiwo wonke umlimi even lesitawukhona kufinyelela kuye ngalesikhathi sale project njengoba sathi ukuthi live linabalimi labaningi. I-project itargethe 18,500 excuse me, but kulo 18,500 bahlukene kabili. Kuna 10,000 lesithi labongi lesifuna nje basitakale timalini kuphela because other 6 projects and organizations netinini telive setifikile tasebenta we know ukuthi la ngaphandle kusetshenzwe kakhulu but labantu labakuswele ngile mali ukuthi bakhona kusebenta noma bakhona kubolekeka. So kunalo 10,000 le project fanele ukuthi ifocus kuye kuloko bese kuna 8,500 lesithi sisuka nawe ekhathe nsimini sibuke ukuthi usitakala kanjani. So we work closely in the Ministry of Agriculture because ngibo labana that core function for technical related issues. So we deal with all those things. We provide a capacity building like business management skills, financial literacy. Kulamalanga nje sesibuke kakhulu lokho ukuthi business iphathwa njani, tindzaba tetimali because labanye siyasikhanze ukuthi umuntu ucabanga ukuthi udzinga ukuthi azabolekeke kanti udzinga nje ukuthi abuke kahle amabhuku akhe asave agcine inzuzo yakhe aphindze ayibuyisele back ebhizinisini. So kulabo kulo 8,500 we are almost 50%, we are just above 4,000 nyalo.
Okay.
Yes.
So and also le project ngabona lokho ukuthi nibuka kakhulu mhlambe ukuthi kuzuze bomake and also the youth. So nasikhuluma nje ngabo women and youth representation kulabalimi lesenabo ngabe nje dithinta inombolo ni diyajabulisa ngokuthi bomake bakhona nabo as ma-farmers.
Yes, bomake bakhona and cishe baningi vele. The target yale project ithi kuto tonke le nombolo lengitibalako nje kufuna ukuthi at least 50% kube bomake. So we are happy lokuthi bomake we are currently sitting at 56% participation uhlanganisa imiphakathi yonke le participate-ako eveni because nayo unfortunately akusiyo yonke because of the limited resources. And then bantu labasha sinako kustrugglisha a bit, but we can assure Sive ukuthi bantu labasha le project, one of the key things kubuka tidzingo netikhalo tabo. So sisebenta nalamanye organizations lafaka nabo bo Eswatini National Agricultural Union kubuka nabo bane mandate bantu labasha labalimako because bakhona bantu labasha labalimako. Those that are in the project nyalo we are only sitting at around 17%, but siningi lesidzingo. But lesikhanzile mhlambe lokusinike tatfo logcina ukuthi itokhula inombolo bantu labasha ngilokuthi tidzingo talabanye atisile tinkulu njengoba besicabanga. So tidzingo mhlambe lesibuka as a project ukuthi letinye tato singakhona ukuthi sitimithe ngama strategies lesiwendako nema partners in the project. But lalaba khona project we have the confidence because they're doing well and they will be able to attract nalabanye bantu labasha labane interest ekulimeni.
Okay. So kuba yini nje kakhulu labakulimako labalimi kukhona mhlambe labafuyako siyakhumbulela ukuthi agriculture solo iyagcugcutela ukuthi vele balimisa labangena ngalana ka climate smart agriculture niyakubona yini lokho kibo balimi?
Yes, siyakubona inqumbi yebalimi lesinabo ku project ngulaba la Kansas balime ema vegetables ikakhulu bo beetroot bo lettuce bo macabbage. But because the project ibuketile moleting 5 sesicale nekukhuthata kulalabanye kulamanye ama regions nje sesicalile sesibuke kulaba labentata inkomo kubolibombo ngiyabhekisa sesicale khona kubuka endzabeni yetimbudi. So kushiyana ngale region ukuthi iperforma kahle kuphi, but those that have been in the lead ngulaba bema vegetables then ke bakhona nebema bonjisi but vele nje vegetables are leading but sesingena ku livestock nyalo.
Okay, I think uvetile now sana sacala khuluma ukuthi I think some of the challenges nje leni labasabhekana nawo balimi ngendzaba yokuthi imkhicido yabo ayisiko ezingeni mhlambe lifanele ukuthi ngabe se imkhicido yabo ya exportwa. Do you guys have quality quantity trainings lenibanawo nabo nebafundzise nje ukuthi kuze bafike kuleli dzinga leli kumele bakhicide lo kanjani kukhona yini mhlambe ama trainings laba kanjalo? I think usho ukuthi nibanawo ama financial literacy trainings niyakubuka into ukuthi vele nyalo sesiconcentrate nje kule mkhicido.
Yes, Lulu, we do have trainings la kabuka logo. Nyalonje in our recent conversations with one of our stakeholders, yenza bayibuka standards that are required to meet kuloyo longaba interested in export. And lapho naletinye timakethe even ukhanze ukuthi lesisebenza nato tutawukusho ukuthi mina ngifuna lolu hlobo lolu lwalomkhicido makul carrot ngilithanza linje ngithanza lelizambane linje. So siba nako lokho sibe sebayafundziseka ukuthi okay imakethe ifuna lokho kuze ukuthi ulime lokho kufuna ukulime kanjena. Masikhuluma endzabeni yabo climate smart agriculture i-project nyalonje seyicala ku-investor in helping support to set up tunnels for lama farmers as a risk management issue. So we do have farmers that are already in production.
Okay. So i-COVID yona ilimete kanganani nje any delay kanganani nje nanisacala because you did mention ukuthi vele bakumele nicale kwaba naleyo delay le nje ukuthi manimele nicale phase 1 but kulimete kanganani and senikhonile ni kulungisa le challenge le?
Islimete kakhulu Lulu because 2020 lama operations aba effective kakhulu by September because from March kwaba nabo lockdown and that's when we were supposed to be getting the new stuff and nasiphuma ku era yabo lockdown unfortunately kwaba nabo political unrest. So with those things and tinfo lebetendeka on the ground beku risk nekuthi siphume siyi-team siyosebenza timoto tatingakhoni kuhamba. So size saqala vele kuba present on the ground nga-September 2020. So loko kusho ukuthi we've lost on a good year, and catching up has really been a challenge lenkulu, but we are catching up. I think once sabana lama financial products that people can easily access, I think that will be the biggest goal mhlambe na minister lesatiko ukuthi ulibhekile right now, even with other stakeholders ngaphandle kwa minister.
Okay, so are you looking into financing more farmers? Should ukuthi kepha nifuna ngak 18,000 the project ithi 18,000 ngabe vele mhlambe laba solabafisile mhlambe kuba part of le project lena basesenalo yini lithuba bangenda kanjani futhi?
Basesenalo lithuba masiqala indlela yethu yokumobilize noma yekungenisa ama-farmers into the project besiya kule miphakathi nasetinkundleni ngekuhlukahlukana sikhulume sine project lenje kunesimo lesingkuthi, but ezisasebenta sikhanze ukuthi lamanye ema-farmers sekavele aya-exista ngetigungu letihlukene kuthi mhlambe bayi-cooperative bayasebenta, so kuze sifast track lamathuba naletinombolo sesicala kufocusa kulabalimi lokhanze kusibe sebavele nje bayi-group lethide bayasebenta, and Ministry of Agriculture unawe ma-farmers lamanyenti lebekasebenta kanjalo, but as a project we needed to open the opportunity even to individual farmers kuqala babe ngule ma-clusters, and then ngebese sesimuva kulaba lebebavele basebenta. So with those groups the project is going to attain the numbers.
Okay, thank you so much, Pumi. Just an update on Include. Besikhulumisana naye project manager wayo umsebenzi lona abalekile kakhulu lozama nje ukuthuthukisa impilo tebalimi labange maswati ukuthi bakhone ukukhicita imikhicito yabo lesezingeni lelifanele ukuthi bakhone ukuyithengisela lamanye amave. Umsebenzi lona lo waqala ngeminyaka wa 2020 uthe kuthatha nje idelay ngesizathu semkhuhlane COVID-19 kodwa ke uyasho Phumilana ukuthi hayi usahamba kahle kwamanje. Sibahlole emakethe sidabuya sichubeka.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who pays for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
I do the most. Watch local TV on the go with the Eswatini TV app for only 20 emalangeni. Come on. Do the most with Eswatini TV app. Download from Google Play Store or App Store. We're good together.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Yeah, welcome back. But just to remind you, Kutsi Eswatini TV does have a show. Love is a 4-letter word. Lungelele hlelo lakho lolithandzako lolibosolo motivate abantu ukuthi basende ama voice notes nama WhatsApp messages bakhumbule nje ukuthi kufuna bende njani.
Yeah, there's a show, ibitwa ngokuthi Love is More Than a 4-Letter Word, idlala nje every Sunday at 6 p.m. Isho nje lena lapho khona our presenters have a sit down with couples, siva kabani nje their love story, how they met, kuva nje ukuthi ithambo labo lihamba kanjani. And also Eswatini TV is looking for that married or engaged couple ukuthi bajoin a competition. There's a competition. Eswatini TV is in partnership with Big Game Parks. Lapho khona bantu bayacela ukuthi they should send their love stories to our WhatsApp number. Basichazele nje ukuthi bamethana kanjani naloyo abathandzana nabo manje bangadiwenela lithuba lokuthi bayovakashela one of the Big Game Parks establishment for a night. Inombolo ke labangayisenda ngiyo ka WhatsApp lethi 76214888. They can either send a voice note, they can send a WhatsApp message or a text message. Basichazele ukuthi babobani, how they met and how long have they been together. This amazing night away.
Yeah. Now, it's not just a getaway trip, but we know Eswatini TV is also offering an exclusive interview as well as an appearance on the special program called Love is Blind. A couple of days ago, if my memory serves me well. Yeah. They have been sending those voice notes on WhatsApp and those text messages, and hopefully the best couple will win. I don't know the selection criteria. I will not be the judge, but I know for a fact what's Lolota win because of a certain bias or whatever. They will win by merit. They will win because back deserve and get themselves this getaway trip as well as this exclusive TV interview and appearance on the Love is a 4-Letter Word program.
Yeah, all right. It's 2 minutes before 8 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can watch us on YouTube as well as on your phone if you have the Eswatini TV app. Have a beautiful day. Happy Valentine's Day.